right, everybody, welcome to the stream. And of course, welcome to the big close here that we've currently got. We've got a massive bull run going on in the markets. The question is it real or is it some kind of fake move? Well, I have news for you. There's better information from the data than you would suspect considering the rally. Now, yesterday we did a video and I mentioned that obviously we did the death cross, useless indicator, by the way, useless crap. And the death cross is crap. And I would never use that. It just doesn't work, eh? So death cross, all these other things, you know they don't work. It doesn't make any sense anymore. If they did, they would be great, but you could put them in a robot and then you do really, really well. So is it real? Is it fake? Now, a rally like this, generally speaking, is interesting and it's coming off obviously support. From the perspective of bonds, let me know what I think. Bonds currently are telling me there's more realness here than you would suspect. So it's actually coming up. Now, this has only happened 2 other days. The 24th and the day of obviously the invasion itself. So the invasion purchase, okay? So these 2 days we saw that type of thing occurring, all right? So that's fairly big. Bonds saying yes. I would also say that other things are pointing towards yes for at least today's move. Now, one day by itself, as you would know, is not enough. So I'm just sitting here on a weekly because I want to put in a perspective here. What's happened in the past when we've had these rallies followed by each other and what that's led to. All right. So that doesn't mean that tomorrow isn't down. I mean, you've got to remember there's some prints coming out tomorrow. Let's just quickly put the news in perspective here. We need to go over to the news. We've got Tuesday, Wednesday next week. All right, here we go. So we've got Wednesday here into Thursday. There we go. CPI and the ECB press conference. So we're going to see a print. When we see a print like this, we should have a bit of an idea of what's going on the markets and whether they like it or not. Am I convinced by this rally? The answer is no. Was it ordained to a degree by other market participants? Yes, and it came in rallying hard. It was tough to get the bottom unless you're trading the Asian session. But let's look at some things on perspective here. Let's use the NDX and the SPX because I want to really show you here. So we've got a big gap. All right, that is there, a big gap. We are actually going to close, it looks like, above this candle here, which could be creating, let's call it, some form of hanging man style candle to the reverse. Where are we feeling a lot more bullish? Well, I think, unfortunately, for a lot of traders, we may have to wait for the weekly to close. And the reason why is because you got this bullish weekly. And if you get this bullish weekly again, let's just say it closes here. I don't care where it closes. Just somewhere here, gets this bullish weekly through. If that happens, then as we see the follow through momentum in the next week, it's going to be tough to be short. Because you go back through history and you go back, let's go weekly here from history. Obviously, we've had some nice rejection candles followed by each other. You think about one over here. There's one bullish candle, not two, one bullish candle, okay? And I'll follow along with you. I'll let you know what I think from the bonds. I mean, the bonds are going to tell us some things here. You go back. Okay, so here's a few in a row and end up creating one new low. That was 2010, okay? But still, not a bad level for the longer term. All right, this is the longer term. Daily is going to be up, down, and all around. But you go back through and it generally will point towards bottoming levels. You don't see it. You see them sometimes happen and there's no follow through, e.g. the other day. Thor's hammer, remember we called it. Where the hell was Thor's hammer follow through? Didn't exist, just went straight away. So it's all about the momentum follow through. That's what we want to see. We want to see momentum follow through. Quite rare. Indeed, quite rare. Here's one, no follow through. Very just bang, straight down. But it still did point towards the end. So if we scroll through most of history, you won't see it very often. And that's why it becomes a bigger deal. Am I convinced by today's rally? No. Was I kind of more likely to occur? Yes. Is it going to sell off into the close? People will take profit now ahead of the news, you would think. Why? Well, there's a print coming up. So hopefully that gives some clarity to the move. The bonds say yes. Other indicators said yes for today. The support was real. It doesn't mean it's on. Okay, it doesn't mean it's on. But I can't, like, what I can tell you very, very easily, and I've warned against this for a few days, is that we had the elevator talk in minerals and commodities. Yeah. We had the elevator talk. Did anyone else experience the elevator talk this week on commodities? I'll put my hand up. I did. 85% of people, 85-year-old people were calling me saying, I think we need to buy the oil. That's what they were saying. Oh, no. Bad. I posted on Twitter probably the biggest warning sign. That nickel, 200% increase. Okay, we know it's a squeeze. We know it was people covering their position. By the way, I like that. That's pretty much what was happening, unfortunately. But we posted that. You were hearing people that didn't like commodities. We've always followed commodities here on the channel. We always like commodities. But you were hearing people that don't even know what a commodity is and how it trades, and they don't even know that it has roles on it when they trade, suddenly picking every commodity under the sun. And look at this plunge, okay? Look at this plunge. Someone said it here. Oil plunge. Edwin, oil plunge back to 111, 112. Exactly. Oil plunged back. Look at this. By the way, thank you for liking the video if you've been enjoying it. It fell 20%. What do I believe about falls like this? I did one the other day for everyone in the public and private community. I think it was the private community. This may bounce, all right? But as far as I'm concerned, when this bounces, which I believe it will, I still think it will bounce a little bit here. I doubt it gets back above the high. Hey, I would be incredibly surprised. Incredibly surprised if it gets above the high anywhere around here. I would think that it's going to bounce and roll over. My opinion. Someone says it looks like Tesla. Well, Tesla did the same thing. Tesla went parabolic. It bounced and then it rolled over. There's a reason Tesla's down here. Everybody thinks, oh, well, Tesla's at 1230. It's got to go to 1500. It's got to go. Well, every other time Tesla's ever gone up, it gets flogged either through consolidation or a huge sell-off that then turns into consolidation. And that's what I think is going to happen on oil. I think if you're thinking oil's back up to 150, 160 and the talking heads were going to tell you, oh, it's so great. You know, when you start to see, I saw US $300 a barrel. If that happens, well, anything can happen, but come on now. No. I don't think so. It's not going to be there. And the story was not only in the nickel trade, but it was probably in the palladium trade, which is why I mentioned it, because palladium went up so huge. The palladium like that, yeah. All right. The palladium trade was so huge, but it actually blew off a few days ago. So it actually destroyed itself a few days ago during this epic crash dump. And the palladium was the first to show it. It then rallied and then dumped again. I told you I don't like the trade anymore. Hey, I was over here as well agreeing with people, but it became so parabolic, 40% in only a few days. It's just not possible to hold. So anyway, I think that you just got to put things in perspective. So for today's market close, I expect profit taking. Mentioned that a few minutes ago. That's just my personal opinion. Do I think the rally could be real? We have to see a few days here. And I'm not talking about stock. I have to see a few days of actually some other markets telling us that this rally is real. Because as we know, in declining markets, and remember, here's our giant trend line that proves kind of where we should be. That's one of our signs. We're looking for this, really. We're looking for a 14,000 plus break. 14,000 plus break. Okay, cool. Well, we're talking totally different game. And I know it's hard. If you've been day trading and you were day trading today up, that's fine. But if you're looking at it from an investment perspective, unfortunately, it's going to be tough for you to be ultra bullish until you get through here and realistically through here. That's just the reality. Now, is that all the way back up to the top? No, you're still getting in fairly cheap. And I still have always said that I'm not calling this a recession yet, even though a lot of people are. We've got a 1.92 reading on the US 10-year. We've got a 1.664 reading on the 2-year. We're not inverted. All right. That's one of my lead canaries. That's a canary. The copper oil, well, not copper, the oil commodity thing. Yeah, that's one point of it, but we don't know whether that can hold and how long it's going to hold for. So far, it's coming down at least today. All right, so let's have a look at some stocks. I assume you guys want to go through more than what I'm just talking about. By the way, look at this. Look at where the DAX is closing. So we talked about how the DAX was too far away from the S&P 500. It got hurt. It's been the better trade long. Remember, sometimes the American market's the best to trade long term. I agree. But sometimes the discrepancy between markets can be extreme. But look where the DAX is closing. Resistance. Oh, interesting. Role reversal area. So we can't be convinced that there's a full rally here. We can only say that, okay, that was a great day. Bear markets are crazy if we are in a bear market. And we have to then go to the next one. But I do think that we've seen the first. This is being coupled with actual real bond levels. Actual real bond levels. Okay, let's do some stocks. So we've got here the old Tesla. Where's the Tesla closing? Funnily enough, the 20 moving average. What has been rejecting so far? The 20 moving average. So if we get another bullish day off this, that would be great. But we're closing basically on one of our levels, which is that 860 zone. Tesla's done okay today, basically in line with the market. Nothing special. Nothing special. Square, pretty big move here. Hyperstock's moving hard, 11.36%. Apple, 3.52%. Still a conundrum for me, this stock. I know people are so bullish this stock. I mean, it's held amazingly. You know, from top to bottom right now, this stock's only down 10.75%. It's a beauty, yeah? Still not my choice moving forward. I'm actually more of a fan of the old, my fan base would be Amazon, Google, Microsoft, with Microsoft being the strongest. Google being the second strongest and Amazon being the third strongest. If I was to pick three, that's the way I would do it. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, you do your own research. So here's Amazon just floating around down at support. The reason why this is because spending, the savings account of the American retailer or the American consumer is low. It's bad, okay? So consumer discretionary is actually not very good. Google, we've got to remember there's still a split coming up. Don't forget the split. All of a sudden, that will be the talk of the town as it gets closer. So there could be a real move here. Got a nice double bottom formation, 2677 from the double bottom. I like that. Thank you very much for the 700 people joining us today. We've just closed, so we probably closed around. We'll go back to that in a second. But we're talking about here whether this move is correct. So we're closing on some 20 moving averages, it looks like. But look, there's the bases so far in the Googles. 1, 2, 3, double bottom, question mark. We'll find out. Not unhappy with this stock. Still getting a discount. Obviously, you're not going to get as big a discount because it had that amazing return on it from its earnings. Its earnings was good. Very good, in fact. But there's some of the FANG stocks. Let's go through maybe ARK here. Oh, Crowd's coming out with a earnings result. Look, Crowd's on support. Someone said earnings result. Oh, it's interesting. He says 7 days here. But anyway, crowd has, maybe it's got earnings today. I'm not sure. It's got good support. I can't tell you exactly if that's the best buy level, but certainly these stocks were all on fire today. They're still down quite a lot though. So you might look at this market and say, "Oh, Tom, I missed out on everything." Did you? Did you miss out on everything? It's only one day, yeah? These hyper stocks, if this is a turnaround, if, remember the 10-year still high, we've got the CPI printing very, very soon in the next day. These are all kind of these key, the key levels. Sure, they're good. SE, I mean, this thing's so low, it's crazy. Consumer spending again. What's the ones that I've been looking at? I think CRISPR is showing signs of base. Should add volume here. There we go. So CRISPR shows signs of base. Here are some lows. A few people saying, I hope the bottom's in here. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. And for a lot of people, I don't mind if it's in here. I mean, obviously, my preference was towards the 3,800, but I wasn't doubting the 13K on the NASDAQ. You know, I wasn't doubting that. When something comes down, you're playing stats, okay, for your longer term. And what does your stats mean? It means that if you're getting within 5 to 10% of where you expect it to go, should you be theoretically DCA? Probably. In your high conviction, not crap. Crap is tradable. But in your high conviction, possibly. So things like CRISPR finding bases here. NVIDIA cautioned against that yesterday as well. You know, obviously got down to this 209 level, which is the level I wanted it to get to. Big bounce here. All the way back up to that resistance support zone. So we're closed at resistance support zones for today. If this is a real rally, something like this could still occur. Once we see that print coming out, remember, a lot of bad news is out. The ban on oil from the US and the UK. The market has absorbed that. That's why oil is down, okay? Because it absorbed it and it went, all right, cool. Some news is over. Let's now go on to just stuffing with people. Pretty nasty stuff, unfortunately. What else have we got? Now, TAN's obviously a bit slower today. Makes sense. Had big rallies last couple of sessions. So it's the money's moved into risk on. Risk on, risk on, risk on. Now, someone asked about Palantir before. Here we go, PLTR. Well, I mean, Palantir is still very low. Daily 20, you can see it here because the Bollinger is the 20 SMA. I don't know why I've lost so many of my... Unfortunately, my computer... that's going to be annoying. I have to go add everything again. So, yeah, unfortunately, my computer must have crashed last night. So, I lost all of my stuff. PLTR. Here we go. Yeah, the way I look at this is, do we have any kind of trend line on the way down? I mean, maybe here. No lightning bolt, that's for sure. So we had some strong buying here. I would think the base is in on this stock. I would think the base is in on this stock. So that's probably where I expect it to. Something like this would be the expectation. That would be actually a better level for it, which would be around that at 12.51. Gunga Din, $5 super sticker. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. PLTR helped by gold. Yeah, but gold's down very hard today. It hit our last target, 2070, and then it went falling down. So to characterize whether this is the real bull run or not, or whether this is the base, the weekly would have to close. We would have to see a little bit more information. Certainly a nice little rally here. Now you can see here, even AMD's rallied through the base. The bonds agree with the market. Good. The fall off of all of these oils and metals and stuff is good for the market. Remember, that's kind of lowering some problems that we've got here, at least that temporary kind of spike. Imagine if anyone, actually, I haven't even looked at nickel today. Let's have a look at nickel. Should be down pretty high. Well, it's up again. Oh, it's broken. Is this even up? Maybe it limited up and then they closed the market. I think that's probably closed. I can't tell you if it is or not, but I'm pretty sure it is. So US 100, here it is. Let's just quickly go down to the last couple of minutes of trade. All right, so we had a little sell-off into the end of the day. Just a little one, not much. Lolcat says, bear trap, higher prices and extra tax will hit companies in the next weeks. And I think he means bull trap. Yeah, I was going to say, there we go. He's fixed that one there. Nickel can't be traded. And nickel limit up closed. Yeah, so that will probably open down. Tom, Tesla, please. We took a look at Tesla. It closed on the resistance. And we'll do it in the video anyway. But basically, we just closed at the resistance. So previous supports, we had that line in here, which is 860 on the bigger time frames, the 2 hour plus. See the wicks or the wicks around here? And we've closed close enough to that level, which turns out to be the daily 20. Okay. The daily 20. Is it good? Well, sure, it's, pretty nice. But think about it this way. Remember, bang, bang, bang. You get through here, 890. Okay, cool. Let's go. 950, next level. So we breach tomorrow, we move to this level. We breach this, we move to this level. We breach this, cool. Very good. Okay. This would be the lightning bolt towards the upside should it happen. And we'll be following it as much as we can. Tesla doing much better than you would think in the markets at the moment. That 700 was pretty big hit. And obviously this whole oil thing, people won't forget it because it's gone through all of society. So I still think it'll be a positive catalyst. And especially if we can get some of these metals down, it should hopefully be a positive catalyst for Tesla. People don't forget things for like 6 months and then they forget everything. And the reason I know that is because everyone was talking about oil and how expensive it was at the pump when oil, maybe 10 years ago was even more expensive at the time. Obviously this is going back a few months ago. Gold today in bear trap. Yeah, gold doesn't trade the way people think though. So there was other signs that it was probably not doing so well. I'm not lost on gold as a trade, but we just got to remember our plan with the GDX was always the same. Take it here, $40. Okay, $40. It could certainly rally. I mean, you can see actually in the stocks themselves, they haven't done as badly as you thought. They rallied back up. Gold as the metal, when I look at this on the charts, I mean, it's at the role reversal. Do I like this chart right now? The answer is not currently. I would like to see a little bit more. Crowd up 11% after hours. So obviously not a bad response. That should probably boost. Doesn't boost anything else? No, doesn't boost anything else. They've already done earnings. So it looks like crowd's back at 188. Very cool. So you grabbed that today. I guess you'd be happy with it. Like the company. It's a great company. I've only got 3 cybersecurities here. Net, Crowd, and ZS, which is too expensive. ZS, I really want it down here. Great growth curve, but yeah, it's expensive. These are all expensive, but they are good. If you want the simplest kind of movements into cybersecurity, the simplest play would be Microsoft. Accredited with many defense companies as well. I got a friend that works in defense and they only use Microsoft. In fact, they're the only ones that are accredited. So these rejections are fairly large. Pretty big. I want to ask the chat here a question. Which company first to 4 trillion in the market? Asana dumping with earnings. Tend to be lagging here. All right, here we Info says this. Did we do uranium URA? I haven't done URA. For some reason, I don't seem to have charts coming up. Look, uranium was a pretty good pickup recently. It's obviously been running. Uranium is less likely to be. This is not bubbling or crazy or anything like that. This is just a good chart that's going up. Okay, so it had that 4th of March kind of pullback, support, 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 resistance. Not bad. Okay. This is not a chart that I would look at and say, oh, I hate this stock or I hate this particular idea. I look at this and I say, yes, the volume is up, the trade is good. And as far as I'm concerned, that is the right type of price action that you should be seeing. And it's not like it's expensive. It's been a heavy, heavy cyclical decline. The question really becomes with uranium is it going to be publicly accepted? Remember the other day we had that scare that was the fire, yeah? All right, so most people are saying Tesla, a few people saying Apple, a few people saying Apple, most people saying Apple. Almost everyone goes Apple here. Can I go Microsoft? Why not? Why not? I'm gonna go with it. uh Rochelle Seller. I'm not sure what that means, but 326. Amazon, 4 trillion USD. Yes, 4 trillion USD. All right. Anyway, my guess only. Yeah, that's just a guess. Where are we at the moment? So Microsoft's sitting at about, oh, it doesn't even show me the market capitalization 2.16, and Apple's sitting at 2.65, and Google's sitting at 1.44, Amazon's sitting at 1.41, and Tesla is sitting at 887. So Tesla, got a long way. I mean, by stats, you'd think it's Apple. Somebody knows more than I do on this. 53, supposedly 53 nuclear stations being built. Which countries, by the way, are taking that mostly? Built, but not enough uranium. Interesting. Depends on Germany going back to nuclear power plants. Right now, they switch to Russian gas. If they switch back to URA, we'll be back double. I don't hate the trade. Talk about the SPY. Well, we talked about the NASDAQ a lot. I mean, the SPY is basically the same trade. They're pretty much hand in hand at the moment. Same thing. These are big rallies. We've seen these rallies before. We've seen false no follow throughs before as well. This is still a pretty, it's a pretty strong bull sign. Okay. If it closes, remember the weekly hasn't closed yet. But if it did, it is a pretty strong bull sign. It's hard to ignore these types of candles. Now I know right now you say, but Tom, everything sucks, man. We got oil still is too high. Well, at least it's the 110 versus 130, yeah. We've got minerals going out of control. A lot will have come down, or at least it crashing partially. So the market will like that. Is this really the rally? We don't know. We know that bonds have only triggered 3 buys. These were the 3 buys. That's all we know. There's never been much follow through from that action. Even over here, the bonds were saying, yeah, right, get out of here. That was a lol. We were pretty sure that was probably a fake rally. All right. Here, we don't know yet. We need more information, and that's all we can go off. So if I was to look at this, well, firstly, we don't even have a weekly close, but I could still see like a turnaround followed by, a pickup, or even still through the base. We just don't know. It's day by day at this stage. Have we broken through any of these downward trend lines? No. Have we gone, anything wow, like is anything looking better? I mean, I prefer the Nasdaq from this position because you've got that better trend line going through the top. So let's explore the 2 hour here. We're kind of at what you would think is a little bit of messiness for the Nas. Support, 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 support. Was a resistance and it sold off. We're sitting there. US 500, similar. We close here, and I'll say this in today's video. Support, 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 resistance, resistance. We've closed there with some rejection candles. Does that look like a market you're like, oh, I think that's so long right now? If anything, it kind of looks like it's waiting for a print of data, and then it's going to make its decision. John B says, need new high on the bolt. Yeah, we need more action. And then Edwin brings up a great point. I don't trust this rally unless VIX breaks back under 25. So actually, we could probably do a pretty cool comparison here together right now. I don't know. Okay. I don't know why so many of my things stuffed up here. So if we did a weekly and we compared previous kind of runs, all right. So generally speaking, by the time the VIX goes down enough, you've already kind of rallied a fair bit, yeah? Now, this is a deeper pullback here. So this is a really crap comparison, unfortunately, because they're out of whack so much. But by the time we got that little bit of a rally, VIX was down off that one. VIX dropped pretty heavily by the time it got there, okay? So, yes, you do want VIX to drop. You're never going to get the low, but about 2 weeks in, the VIX had dropped over, 60% of its drop. VIX had dropped a huge portion here. That is part of it. This is a really bad comparison because it's stupid. All right, that's better. We'll get rid of that for a second. But we'll just have a look at the VIX. So it's still at 32. Daily did close down. I got like this little weird trend line that's going on here in the VIX. I kind of feel like these levels are pretty important. Then you can get underneath here. And if you're rallying with bull candles that look like this, I'm going to find it hard pressed not to be feeling bullish. Okay, but it hasn't closed yet. I might poll the community today on Twitter. Come follow us, FX Evolution on Twitter. Thank you very much to the 833 people here as well. We do appreciate it. We'll see what everybody else thinks. But look, it's a nice rally. It looks great in principle, but we're back at a resistance ahead of news. That's where we are. I would like to see other indicators, other data pointing towards bullish moves. The stock market's one thing, but we've seen plenty of big rallies followed by plenty of big dumps. That's the nature of these markets. This is the first that we've seen off 2 lows, though. So if it holds and the weekly close like here, well, I'm starting to feel a lot better about this market. VIX is still in swell mode. We need it to blow off. That would be correct, Gary. Swell, basically what that means is that the VIX is slowly going up. Weird, okay? Not normal. Very, very non-normal. Usually the VIX does this. And it goes, woo, bang, bang, bang. Very aggressive both ways. Short, sharp, huge, huge purchasing comes through. This was the whole thing over here actually just kept swelling up. We don't usually, let's go back to 18. So here, the VIX was swelling, actually. The VIX was going up and down, but in general, was holding a bit of a movement. And then, of course, we saw max fear around Christmas, and it came right back down. Here we have 18. The start of 18, it was a totally different market. It went hugely up, dumped, one last spike, and was over. And then just hovered around. But remember, you need VIX to get underneath the zone, and it won't be underneath 20, and the market will be rallying that whole time. It takes a little while for the VIX to come down sometimes, the fear to come out of the market. The fear was there for pretty much all of 18 into 19, yet the market was still climbing predominantly. and then it went very, very low. And that's when I usually get, I think that's a lot of complacency when the VIX is this low, sitting around that 12. That's when I'm like, okay. You better feel a little bit less comfortable about the market at that point. And somebody says here, wheat fuel prices will kill consumer spending. Yeah, so that's why I think consumer discretionary, if you notice, the markets aren't liking it as much. So if we look at the wheat price, at least it's coming down here a little bit. But yes, these, if they stay high for too long, it will kill consumer spending. You are correct. And therefore that's why XLY, consumer discretionary, has been down. If you look at the big FANG stocks, whatever FANG Plus, whatever we call it now, whatever it's called. Look at this. Amazon is on its knees still. The market knows this. The market sniffs out bad consumer spending. It's telling you for a while it hasn't felt good because they have data we don't have. And the data in America is scary. It's something like 42% plus of people have $0 in their bank account. Ooh, that's bad. People saying fertilizer stock soaring. Yeah, urea and stuff. Yep. Inflation numbers are going up right now. Absolutely. The print is going to be higher. The question is, how's the market react to that? Do you still think it's going S&P 500 going to 4,000 by Friday? I never thought that. I just said that there was a put wall there. So the put wall that you're talking about is here. I don't know that the S&P is going to 4,000. Wouldn't have a clue. Oh, yeah. I want to say thank you for this as well. I forgot about this. I was going to say in the daily video. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. We hit 80,000 subs thanks to you today. 80,000 subs. And I really appreciate everybody liking the videos, subscribing, commenting, sharing it, whatever you're doing. I do appreciate that very much. It's been a bit of a dream to try to get to this level, and I do really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, everybody. All these sanctions will impact greatly on these companies' earning reports. This should bring them down in price for next reports. Look, there's a lot. There's, as I said, Fernando, and I've said this to a lot of people, there's bull and bear cases. Unfortunately, creating a case right now is a very tough thing because there are bull cases, believe it or not. There are also heavily bear cases. I probably would say if you put it in the bull ledger versus the bear ledger is going to have so much scribble on the paper. It's going to be huge. And the bull's going to have like maybe 2 little things or 3 little things. But the reality is the market is forward thinking. So it's already thinking about data that we don't actually know what data it's plugged into itself. That's the problem. We don't know if there's a mismatch. All we can really do is follow what the smarter traders are doing. What are other traders telling us? What's the price action telling us? And when you have other lead indicators as well that come along with that, sometimes you can make better decisions. Look, today was a good rally, no doubt, but it closed at resistance ahead of news. I told you the bond market that I have here says yes. The bond market say yes to today's rally. They said yes to this rally and they said yes to the 24th. They then proceeded to say no after that day. So hopefully I get a reading that actually helps us. What would a bullish signal look like on PCC? Ricky Perez Jr. says, waiting for him to cover BTC after saying 29K wouldn't surprise me. Man, people take my words so crazy. All right, so let's have a look at Bitcoin. Okay. Yeah, 29K wouldn't surprise me if we breach under 37K, Ricky. Okay. Under 37K, Ricky, was my wording. Why? Because you got a long leg doji, man. You get underneath here, supports so often, yeah. Under that, I can't even think that 34 is going to hold. All right. Now we had a leak from was it Yellen's desk, which supposedly is what's rallied it here. And hey, it rallied very nicely. And if you were trading it and you were on something like a 1 hour chart and you were looking at the price action for the day, you might have said, "Oh, okay, I'm looking at this level here. I'm waiting for a closure above," and you get it. Now it's sitting in the middle of nowhere land. 44, 45,000 is resistance. This area is a bit of structure in the past. If you put a volume profile on, sure. Bitcoin, it has key levels. And look, this is pretty good rally zone. I actually dipped it in here. I grabbed a small portion extra. I closed that though, because I just thought, oh, well, that was a good rally based on news. That's it. If it gets underneath 37, I'll stick with it, man. I think it can get down here. I really do. Because that's all nothing much is holding it other than this level. It keeps failing at this point. If you get past 46, you convince me. We're back on. This zone here, 37, and then technically these are big supports. So nothing really changes, man. It's exactly the same. But if it breached under 37, yeah, I'm going to go with it. Gary Saini, $5. Tom, thoughts on Magnat, MSFT, Apple, Google, Nvidia, Amazon, Tesla. Thinking of buying ICLN. Can we TA it? Congrats on 80K. Okay, so ICLN, I assume, is an energy sector. And Magnat, is that like actually a thing you can buy now? Or is it just like they can't buy it? So just all of them. Okay, here we go. Thoughts. Microsoft, love it. Apple, it's great company. Not for me at the moment. Google, yes. Nvidia, I like it a lot for the longer term. Amazon, consumer spending currently down. Technically, Amazon is the best play in the industry, but you can see in Shop and SE that the market hates them right now. So it might take a while to turn. And Tesla, we already did that one before. Let's do ICLN. Clean energy. All these clean energy stocks are improving heavily. They've been the trade of the last kind of, I guess, week. So you can see here the base. You can see the rallies. And yeah, it's a good chart. I would say these are fantastic charts. Quite nice. Not bad at all, actually. It's at a resistance, but overall, you look at this from an investment perspective or a couple of months, it was down 50%. It came back down to September 2020 highs. And with everything that's gone on in the Russian-Ukraine stuff and the sanctions, I would think that this is probably going to go higher. The price action looks pretty good. Look at the weekly. It looks pretty good. Thank you very much. Brandon Johnston, $1.99. When is the QQQ filling the gap? I assume you're talking about the gap from yesterday. Well, gaps, if they're going to happen, it's within the first couple of days. So he's talking about this gap. Gaps tend to fill. I mean, we've shown that. But if they don't happen in the first 3 days, it becomes very unlikely they're going to occur. Each day becomes very, very much more unlikely. And then after that, it's just a crash that usually fills all the gaps. Even over here, it took a little while to fill that gap. Not all gap trading. Look at this one. There's a gap here. When did that fill? Over here. So don't get your hopes up for gap trading all the time. Sometimes there's great gap sell-off rallies. In this case, it's a buy. Not convinced it's going to happen. Thank you very much for the donation. Is Costco overpriced? PE higher than a few years ago. Consumer spending to go down, but it's more of a staple. Adore says, why do you think Amazon is not performing? No one has any money, despite being a great company. No one has any money, man. Look at Shop. Look at everything. People ran out. All the little checks. These things are related to actually people having cash. and people's cash has gone right back down to where it was pre-COVID again. So everyone has actually gone out and bought crap. I'm actually surprised how bad it is. The numbers are horrible. Like it's really concerning to me that you have such a huge portion of people that have effectively no savings. And that some of that may be here. I mean, some people, probably a few of you do have savings because you, or at least you have investments, but they've got nothing. No savings, huge portion. So if we see relief bill spending and they give you more checks, then of course part of that will flow through consumer discretionary. But that's a huge component is when you have increase in oil, you have an increase in costs, you have inflation in general. What is a general person going to do? Well, maybe it's not time for me to go and buy the newest Apple iPhone or whatever else it is. Brandon Johnston, $4.99. Thank you very much. BTC weekly since December 17th, 2018. Draw support negating the Black Swan event of 2020. We are currently testing it. I'll do it for you, sir. I probably need a really old BTC chart. Oh, I don't even. Chart has a really old history in it. Got old history in it. There we go. Okay. Log would be the only way you could draw this. So what he's saying, something like that. Something like that, I guess. Log chart only, yeah. Otherwise, not going to work. So, yeah. I don't know. I probably wouldn't personally use it, but it's up to you. Log chart is, by the way, the better chart to use for Bitcoin. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you very much for the donation. Kyla, I already think it has blown off, man. So my thoughts. I spoke about it before. You can go back and have a quick look. Darren Jones, $10. Hi Tom, just tweeted you in reference to your video last night. Oxford Gold called me trying to sell their gold to me. I consider that a sell signal. That gold hit a high and now the instas are dumping. Yes. And also gold doesn't react the way that people think it does to certain things that are going on right now. So Darren, I agree. Look, I mean, the sign was in palladium. The sign was in elevators. The sign was in everybody that's, not even any interest. The sign was in the joke. Oil is now Bitcoin. That all of these things. It just shows it went parabolic. And when something goes parabolic, it tends to dump, and it tends to dump pretty hard. Daniel Hollander, I'm sorry to hear that. We lost our savings buying Neo. Oh, he's talking about the general public. I don't even know where that stock is. I hate this thing. It's a terrible stock, isn't it? I forgot where it came from. Wow. Geez, it made some money. On a log chart, looks a bit different. There we go. Yeah, look, that's true. A lot of people got into this. Yeah, not so nice, unfortunately. Sorry, Daniel. Ricky Perez Jr., thank you very much. $10. Ricky Perez Jr. says, you're usually on the money. No one is God. That is true. You can't be. I just get a kick out of how strange BTC's behavior is. I would love to get your thoughts on Solana, another crypto. Yeah, I like Solana. I mean, its Sol is pretty good. Look, no, you can't be 100% correct. All you're doing, like, people really misinterpret this. Investors, obviously, you need a thesis. And that thesis is I want to hold this thing for a longer period. Why? I think it's got competitive advantage. TA gives you best buy zones. Fundamentals gives you a good thesis. Getting the X factor is your competitive advantage in the markets. Okay. Can you see something the markets can't see yet? And that actually a lot comes through social arb. I actually still think social arb is pretty good. Being able to understand what the audience is saying. You like right now, I would ask this of the community: are you, let's say, gamers out there? Do you like the PS5 more, or do you like the Xbox more? Let me know. Put it in the chat. Let's do some social arb right now. PS5 or Xbox? Which has got, and this isn't throughout history. What is it as of today? What are you feeling? Which one do you like more, PlayStation or Xbox? So Solana is still very low. And this has, basically Solana, DOT, these two, and Ethereum, in some ways, are kind of vying for each other. If I was to say which particular market I feel is the strongest in crypto, I mean, I always continue to go back to I should just own BTC. Because I'm not involved in it as much. Like, I mean, I know BTC and Ethereum technically trade. Something like Solana isn't as technical as those other two. And usually these follow the alt path, which is when BTC and Ethereum improve, something like this will improve heavily. Now we go to a daily. It's on a massive support. That original trend line down here, see it breached, but then it didn't really do much. So it's just sitting on support. So I think the way I would look at Solana is, yes, it's on support. It should hold up, especially if Bitcoin holds. If it gets back above 100, you've double bottomed, and it should be very, very good for Solana. So my personal opinion is something like that. $100, big psychological level. It does have still a lot of latent demand in it as well. Thank you very much, Ricky Perez. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's see what people are saying here. So Xbox, PS5, Xbox, PS5, Atari. Yeah, right. PlayStation, PC, PS. People are saying PC. Get out of here, PC people. I agree with you, but we need PS5 or Xbox. Yeah. Okay, so interesting. Quite a lot of PS5. A few Xbox, mostly PS5. I would say probably around 70% PS5. So I actually bought a PS5 the other day. I was a lucky person. I thought, yes, I will have a PS5. I bought Elden Ring, played 2 hours, guys. Hardcore gamer here, yeah. That's all I've got time for at the moment. I played 2 hours. I sat there and vegetated and played 2 hours. But look, I would go with, I think Xbox has the best offering, my personal opinion, because Xbox has their development studios, and more importantly, they have their pass, the Game Pass. And I think that's the big change here. But if you actually go and look at some PlayStation 5 versus Xbox videos, which is often what I do on the old YouTubes, I've never seen so much Xbox love as I've seen in the last 2 to 3 months. More Xbox love than PS5 love. Everyone loves the PS5 long term. That's what they have. But Xbox love is increasing. So Game Pass is doing well. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. Look, basically, we've got Bitcoin sitting at what I believe could be a bit of a resistance. We've got markets sitting around the resistance. Obviously, they've gone up a little bit here after hours. So they're getting a little crazy. All right. But they're still at around resistance. US 500, here it is. This is the market that the US 500 shows us the best concept over the NAS. Remember that. The NAS is the better trade, but the US 500 is probably the best concept. It's hovering around this zone. And we're going to have the print. Now, remember, when does the print come through? And we should have a reaction to that. So we've got the print coming in, 8:30 a.m. New York time. We've got the ECB press conference, which I kind of think matters to a degree. And at this stage, I would say it's a pretty interesting market to be watching. So Look, it's at resistance, ahead of the big news. No surprise. Let's see what it can do. Weekly, currently not closed. Remember that. Do we have any call walls? I doubt it. Not really. There's a lot of just free space in here. All we knew is that it was very unlikely to go much lower. I mean, obviously 400 on the SPY. I'm incredibly unlikely to go under that this week. It ended up bouncing immediately, but we're not near these either. So we're basically, everything here is free. It's all good. So thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for the likes. Appreciate it. We will see you very good. We'll see you in the next. Oh, actually, I need to make an announcement. So, unfortunately, we are doing a conference in Cairns, which is here in Australia. So, that will mean that I get out today's video. I'll probably get out tomorrow's video. So, Friday's video. I'll try to make one on the weekend, but I am pretty sure I will miss Monday. Okay. There will be no live streams. I repeat, there will be no live streams until I get back, which will be Tuesday close. All right. So we will have a little bit less videos coming out and those things. I'll still get today out. I'll still get tomorrow out if I have time, but there will be no live streams, unfortunately, as far as I know, unless I can do an emergency one until I'll do an emergency one if something crazy happens. Okay. Obviously, I'll just try to get in there, but it won't be very high quality. It'll just be me sitting on a boat. So if it's me sitting on a boat, then it'll be what it is. I think we'll try to get, we'll come back on Tuesday close. I'll see if I can get that video out. So basically, the channel won't be affected too much from the daily videos, but it will be affected from the lives. Just letting you know. So yes, we will do that. Did someone say Amazon split? No way, really? It did. It must have. There's no way it could be up 9%. Oh, jeez. No wonder the NAS was up a little bit extra. That's pretty sneaky. Try to artificially inflate your business and just do a split. Up 10.21 now. I'll post it on the Twitters. All right. That's interesting. Pretty big move. Obviously, currently getting a rally. We saw with Google it then dropped. Splits do tend to get a bit of a rally in them. Well, I mean, I said it before at the start of the stream. My 3 favorites. I think it's not bad for me, I guess. MSFT, Amazon, Google's. In the big ones anyway. And then I'll add Nvidia in there as well as okay. I think Nvidia's getting to the price of okayness. So Amazon split. Looks like that's the information. Thank you very much for letting me know. I didn't know. So there you go. Someone says Amazon options back in play. Well, I tell you what, if it opens, Finken, and you're getting a big number reading, might be worthwhile scaling out, yeah, if you can. So I hope it does come back from you. That is super sneaky, almost dodgy, almost. dodgy, 9%. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you for live streams next week. Appreciate everyone's support. And we'll say bye for now. Video coming out shortly. Catch up.